I'm running for the Pennsylvania State Senate because we need change. People in Pennsylvania are unhappy and dissatisfied with the status quo and the cost of living that has gotten way out of control. We need true leadership and real advocates in Harrisburg. As a social worker of 30 years, having worked with working families right here in this district and across Bucks County, I know the real issues that they're facing. Affording childcare, housing, food, energy costs, everything is surging, and we need to change the status quo in Harrisburg. It's time to get real leadership and advocates in the state Senate so that we can impact the things that matter most to working families in Bucks County. Housing and homeless issues are something that I've worked on for decades. I've worked with homeless veterans who were living on the streets and in shelter. I've worked with homeless youth who were runaways or had no place else to go. I've worked with families who were evicted, families who weren't able to keep up with their housing costs. And I've worked with families who were on the verge of becoming homeless. That's where eviction prevention assistance can be so useful. Instead of becoming homeless, helping families to stay where they are with temporary assistance can ensure that they are not becoming homeless and all the other costs that are associated with having to move and find new housing. Safe, affordable housing is critical if we're going to have a healthy and safe community. Pennsylvanians need true advocates in Harrisburg now more than ever to address the rising costs of pretty much everything. Not only low-income families and working families, but everyone is feeling the squeeze from all angles, from the cost of housing, the cost of our energy, the cost of food, the cost of transportation. All of these things are squeezing every family. We need advocates who are going to be in Harrisburg to fight to lower these costs. I will go to Harrisburg to help enact the governor's agenda, which includes many measures that will address the affordability issues that Pennsylvanians are facing, that Senate District 6 families are facing. I will go to Harrisburg to fight for a minimum wage increase. The Pennsylvania minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. It has been that way for almost 30 years. I've been working with families who are working 2, 3, and even 4 jobs just to keep food on the table and a roof over their head. This is not a livable wage. We need to increase the minimum wage so that every family has the opportunity to earn enough to keep a roof over their head and food on the table for their families. That's why I'm going to Harrisburg, to fight affordability issues like the minimum wage. I'm also going to Harrisburg to expand the child care tax credit, as well as keep health insurance companies accountable for the costs that they're passing down to consumers. I want to combat rising utility costs along with the governor by ensuring that the utility companies are not overcharging and increasing rates that get passed down to ratepayers. When I first started my career in social services, it was right here in this district in Langhorne in Bucks County. I worked with runaway, homeless, and adjudicated at-risk youth right here in Bucks County in group home care. Later in my career as a master's level social worker, I again worked with young women, girls who were under the age of 18, who are runaways, homeless, adjudicated in foster care or group home care. My direct experience with them has shown me that I know there are gaps in the system, especially for at-risk youth, especially for those who are aging out of the foster care system. We need to provide supports and network of solutions for these young folks who are turning 18 and make sure that they have what they need to become successful and independent young adults. My experience has shown that these folks need critical supports, and we need to address the gaps in these services at the state legislature level to ensure that all children have the resources they need, regardless of where they are or where they've come from or grown up, that they have the opportunity to become successful and independent adults. The co-responder program is where social workers are paired with law enforcement agencies so that when crises happen, the law enforcement professionals can focus on the public safety and the social workers can step in and provide those needed resources for folks who need them. Whether it's substance abuse issues, whether it's mental health issues, that the social workers step in during and or after that interaction with the police so that they can provide those resources they need so that this doesn't happen again. So it helps our whole community be healthier and safer by allowing our police force to be able to focus on what they should be doing, which is public safety and community policing. And the social workers are assisting those folks who need additional resources beyond so that they don't end up in the same situation. One of the things I'm most proud of when I was a Warrington Township supervisor was bringing on the co-responder program to Warrington Township Police Department. The Pennsylvania legislature is responsible for fully and fairly funding public schools. This was ordered by the state Supreme Court, and the state legislature needs to act. The state legislature, the state senate, needs to make sure that all schools, whether they're public or not, are held to the same standards and are held accountable for the tax dollars that they are given as resources. We have to make sure they're held to the same standards and are accountable for the resources they are given by taxpayers. What neighborhood a child lives in should not determine the quality of their education. I'm going to Harrisburg to fight for fairly funded public schools across the Commonwealth. As a mom of two, I remember paying child care bills that were more than what I was earning. And that was a choice that I had to make. Is it worth it to be in the workforce and pay more for child care than I was bringing in? Child care costs are absolutely unaffordable for a lot of families, especially working and low-income families. They can't afford the child care costs. I would go to Harrisburg to fight for affordable child care through subsidized child care and other options that ensure that every family, every person that wants to be part of our workforce and part of our local economy, that they can do that if they choose to. Also, our daycare workers are essential workers, and we know that they are underpaid. That's part of why I'm fighting for increasing the minimum wage, because these essential workers who are tasked with taking care of our children, our most precious resource, should be paid for the role that they are providing. Voters in my district are facing the cost of living that has become unaffordable. That's the biggest issue facing all of the families in my district. They are unhappy with the status quo. They are ready to have real leadership and true advocates in Harrisburg who are going to fight to lower costs of everyday things like the energy prices. Mass transit is a big issue in my community. SEPTA is a critical part of our local economy, and folks are unhappy with the lack of funding, sustainable long-term funding for our mass transit that people depend on to get to school, to get to work, to get to medical appointments. Folks are unhappy with the minimum wage because it does not provide a livable, sustainable wage for working families in Bucks County. There are a number of things that we can do at the state legislature, and as a state senator, I will fight to address the issues of cost of living, energy prices, mass transit, educational funding. 2 school districts in District 6 in Bucks County have had to furlough support staff and teachers because they aren't able to close their budget gaps. This is a direct result of the state Senate, the Republicans in the state Senate, who have blocked educational funding, fair, full funding for public schools, and have pushed that down to the residents of my district. And they are tired of it. They were ready for change. SEPTA is so critical to this region. It's the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, and Senate District 6 relies on SEPTA for so many reasons. I myself am a proud Bucks County resident because of SEPTA. When my parents moved back to Pennsylvania to be closer to family, they were looking for a home in a community where there was a regional rail, and they chose Warminster. So I'm an R2 girl and proud Bucks County resident because of the R2. So I know how important mass transit is to my community and all of the communities in this district. It's also an economic engine for all of Pennsylvania. It brings so much money that we need for critical transportation infrastructure. And we have to ensure that families have access to reliable and safe transportation options. We need to fully fund SEPTA, and we need to find long-term sustainable solutions to fund it without taking from the capital budget. When we do that, as Senate Republicans have done, that is a worker safety issue and a rider safety issue. We are taking money away from maintenance and ongoing repairs and upgrades at the cost of the operating costs. We need to address this with a sustainable long-term plan so that SEPTA remains an affordable and reliable option for families across Bucks County and in my district, to get to the amazing healthcare systems we have in Philadelphia, to get to school, to get to medical appointments, to get to sports events. All of these things are critical. We have commuters coming in and out of the district on SEPTA, and we rely on it. So it's not something that we can afford to kick the can down the road on. Having worked with working families across Bucks County for the past 2 decades, I understand the issues that impact them most. If we don't have our health, we don't have anything. I've worked with families who have lost everything because of an unexpected medical issue. With mounting medical debt and absence from work, they've become homeless. Medicaid is a critical resource for families that need it. We need to ensure that we have access to that for all families in my district and across the Commonwealth in order to have a healthy workforce, healthy families, and be able to provide a safe and healthy community for everyone.